board members and all of our staff and any visitors that we have in the house, JCC members. Oh, you're almost all here. 2, 4, 6, 7. Almost missing 4. Missing 4. Summer vacation. They get to take vacations. That must be nice. Well, board members, tonight we are ready to present to you a few more items about the 2014-15 budget for your consideration. This is budget workshop number 4, and our final one will be next Monday evening at 6 o'clock, where I will have a proposed budget for you and ask for your consideration in adopting it. We have an agenda this evening that's not so very long. One part of it will be the longest part. The supplemental instruction piece will be the longest part of our presentation tonight. But the first part of it, I want you to have a quick review of the capital improvement projects that we've done for 2013-14. And later you'll hear about some of the ones that we hope to do for 14-15. We'll look at our debt at a glance, where we'll compare Tarrant County College debt to some of our sister institutions around the state. I'll have a proposed budget for you, and I'll have some considerations that I'd like for you to make. Under the capital improvement projects, you will see that we are about ready to move into the Northwest Campus Center of Excellence in Transportation, Logistics, and Aviation. It seems as though this project has been a very long time in coming, but it is finally here. We've gone from one direction to another direction, all the way from building something that will cost over $100 million back to purchasing an already existing building, renovating it, and moving our faculty, staff, and equipment into the Center for Excellence. And you'll see that. Is that the Learjet, Dr. LeBlanc? That's the Learjet. I've been in that jet. Many of our board members have been in that Learjet, and so it's already out there in place. And you see the building there to your left. That's also in place. Also, last year we opened the new firing range that you approved, and it is again state of the art. Very interesting building that we have, and it's being used by citizens all over Tarrant County. And of course, you were there for the groundbreaking of our South Campus Energy Technology Center, and it is coming right along. If you drive by the campus, you can see things already coming out of the ground. At some point, I understand we're going to have a live camera there, webcam, so that we can watch things as they go. At the bottom left of that screen, you see the Trinity River Campus Math Emporium in its construction phases. It's much farther along than what you see there, but those are some of the early pictures. We just wanted to remind you that we have spent some of your resources on that. And then the Southeast Campus Math Emporium is just about finished. It is finished now. I guess the furniture is not there yet. Furniture's already in. Thursday, the furniture comes in. So that's another one of the projects that we've spent money on. And of course, the Southeast Early College High School is completed, and it's really, really beautiful. The ribbon cutting is going to be August 22nd. I hope that's on all of your calendars. You'll want to be there to help Dr. Coppola and his faculty and staff celebrate that wonderful feat. It is a beautiful facility. I understand the students are extremely happy and wanted to know if it was okay for them to touch something in the building. I was reminded, Dr. Fulkerson, when Dr. Coppola said that to me, of the first day we had dual credit students on our Trinity River campus. They got off their bus in front of the circular drive and walked in, and one young lady looked around and around. She says, "Oh my goodness," and she asked Brian Stewart, I think, "Is this a museum?" So I'm sure the Southeast Campus Early College High Schools are asking, "Is this a museum?" Also, don't have pictures per se to show you, but just wanted to remind you that we've also done quite a bit of work at Trinity River campus on behalf of our early college high school there that is called the Texas Academy of Biomedical Sciences. We have juniors this year, juniors and seniors on our campus at Trinity River. And we've also been very fortunate to catch the attention of some funders, especially JP Morgan Chase Bank, that is very interested in that program and has either pledged or given, we may even have the money by now, money especially for that early college high school. So we're really excited about that. And then, of course, on the Northeast campus, we don't have a picture of that, but the Northeast campus early college high school is just about ready. You may recall that we have taken space in our district service center for the early college high school on Northeast, and that has caused us to have to relocate some of our employees, especially as we prepare for phase two. The ribbon cutting for the Northeast campus early college high school is September, Gary? September 15th? 17th, September 17th on our Northeast campus, and we'll get invitations out to all of you to see that. That's going to be a very, very nice facility as well. So those are the major projects that we have done this year, and of course, the facilities team has done a very large number of other projects, much smaller than these, but the team has been exceptionally busy this year doing various things from renovations to repairs to doing I call it the guts of the campus. We still have things that we have to do to make sure that all of our mechanical, electrical, and plumbing projects are kept on target as much as we can. For the next year, 2014-15, the capital improvement projects that we're looking at will include completing the South Campus Energy Technology Center. And of course, that requires the second year of the major funding. It seems as though we've been funding this facility for about 4 years, actually, starting with the design and all of that. It's taken us a while to get to this point. But we're in the home stretch now on the South Campus at the Energy Technology Center. We're also, of course, in the middle of getting everything ready for the South Campus early college high school that is going to be built on the very same design as the Southeast campus. There'll be a few changes because of the orientation of the space where we're putting it, but primarily it will be pretty much the same design. That'll leave us a little bit of savings because of that. We also don't have to put in as much of the infrastructure on the South Campus to make that early college high school work as we did for the Southeast campus. And of course, while we're building the Energy Technology Center, we're building a new entrance road to the South Campus. The decision was made to go ahead and do that because it'll cost so much less money if we do it while we're in construction for the Energy Technology Center. We'll also have to complete the early college high school for Northeast Campus, phase 2. As you know, the early college high school starts with one grade, that's the 9th grade. And then the next year you go to 10th grade, and the next year to 11th, and the next year to 12th, so you build it out. The Northeast campus, as well as the Southeast campus, are being built for 125 students per class. So we're looking at an occupancy of 500 students at the beginning of the 4th year when the seniors will be there. And then, of course, we also have mechanical, electrical, and plumbing infrastructure projects that we'll have to do. So those will be the big expenditures for 2014-15 that you'll see in our budget. Doing the South Campus Energy Technology Center, the South Campus Early College High School, and the Northeast Campus Phase 2 will take about $61 million out of our budget. Next. I want to talk to you for just a few minutes about the debt that we have at Tarrant County College, as well as the debt of the top 10 community colleges. And if you go all the way to the bottom of the page in bold, you will see Tarrant County College debt at $8.1 million. We've been talking about 2015 for a long time as the date that we would do what? Be debt free. Well, it's here now. So we're in the budget year where we will be debt free as of this year. And as you can see, the large, very large debt in some cases, look at Houston Community College, they're just about at $1 billion worth of debt. Houston Community College and Austin Community College both have what is called lease revenue obligations. Austin is at the cap of its tax rate, and they can't go any higher, so they're looking now at lease revenue obligations. You may know, or may recall, that Austin Community College is building a 500-seat emporium that they intend to use not just for math, but for a lot of others. They bought a shopping center there in Austin, and they are turning it into a learning center for Austin Community College. I don't know if that's what that $191 million is or not, but that's an operation where you enter into a lease agreement, and then you take the money from the lease to pay off the debt. I don't have all the details on how that works for them. My guess is they own that entire shopping center, so they're probably leasing some of that space out and then paying for their needs with the lease dollars. And of course, Houston Community College, as you see, I said earlier, also has $110 million worth of lease revenue obligations. But Tarrant County College District, of course, has only that $8.16 million. So from the time the board made a decision to pay as you go, we have not entered into any debt since that time. So we're in very good condition. At one time, we had revenue bonds that we sold, and we decided we were going to really get serious about technology. And that's when we wired everything. We gave everybody a computer, and we sold revenue bonds for that and paid the debt back with tuition payments. That's what we pledged on the revenue side. Next one. That first slide showed you total debt. This one is not much different because Houston and Austin had the additional revenue, the lease payment debt. But this slide is pretty much the same. What we show you on there is the total outstanding debt per student. And again, as you can see, Tarrant County College, that $8.166 million comes to $135 per student in debt, with the highest one, of course, being in Houston with $14,000 per student debt. Next one. Are there any questions about any of the slides that I've just covered, the projects that we're looking at doing this year, or the tax picture for us? Last week, I was asked, what would you do? Mr. Carter mentioned the effective tax rate. I hadn't talked about that last week at this point, but I was asked if the board made a decision to go to the effective tax rate, what would be on my wish list, what kind of items would be there. And I said one, and only one, would be supplemental instruction, because it's something that I think after you see this presentation that we're about to give you from Dr. Joy Gates Black and two of the campus presidents who are representing all of them, Dr. Peter George and Dr. Eva LeBlanc, will walk you through what we mean by supplemental instruction, the background for it, the value that our students would gain from it. This is a program that went through the Innovation Forum, I think I told you that last week, and had received the high score of all the projects that went through the forum. It is a district-wide effort on the part of the faculty and staff who've worked on this with the Innovation Forum. Margaret Lutton, who is here, has worked with them. She's done a wonderful job. I don't see her now, but she must be back there. So, oh, she's over there. Okay. And she's available to answer any questions that you would have about the Innovation Forum. You may recall that this year we had a few dollars in the budget for supplemental instruction. The presidents asked for that last year, and we funded each campus a few dollars for that. I guess you would call them token dollars. They got, I guess, somewhere around $50,000 per campus. Based on head count, the dollars were based on the head count, so everybody didn't get quite the same amount. But you're going to see a report of what happened on South Campus with that money that we gave to Dr. Jordan. So I'm going to call on Dr. Gates Black now to come, and she will make the introduction on supplemental instruction, and will invite the two presidents to do the other part. Dr. Gates.
Thank you, Chancellor. Mrs. Appleman, members of the board, we are happy to do this presentation because it really is a culmination of lots of work on the part of our faculty and others who have been looking at promising and best practices. If you go back to the first one. Looking at promising and best practices since we began our work under Achieving the Dream. We've implemented a number of initiatives to support the success of our students, but our faculty have been looking for additional ways to increase the success of students in the classroom. And we believe that supplemental instruction is one of those innovations that will provide us with the greatest return and increase in the success of our students. So I'm going to talk to you about what supplemental instruction is, how it began, how it functions. Dr. LeBlanc is going to come up and talk to you about implementing supplemental instruction at Tarrant County College, how we did that. And then lastly, Dr. Jordan is going to talk about the outcomes, the national outcomes, and the specific outcomes for the South Campus. Next slide. Supplemental instruction was developed in 1973 at the University of Missouri in Kansas City. And the way that the program works is it utilizes peer-assisted study sessions facilitated by students who have already completed the course and done well in the course, receiving a grade of A or B. So we call this peer support. And these courses, this facilitated support is provided to courses that historically have been difficult for students to get through. And on the slide, you see some of what some of those courses are. Things like organic chemistry, biology, anatomy and physiology. And so these supplemental instruction leaders work with the students to facilitate their success in these courses. SI, as we call it, utilizes a non-remedial approach that provides students with a number of regular review sessions where students get together and they collaborate, they compare ideas, they discuss notes, they work together to identify what might be test answers on a question, and really just genuinely support each other through the process. But they're led by this student who we call a supplemental instruction leader. And courses normally identified for SI are what we call and what we called in Achieving the Dream is gatekeeper or gateway courses. Those courses that students often get in and find that they can't get past. And that oftentimes spells the end of their career. SI targets the course, not the student. That is a really important thing for us to understand, because that reduces the stigma for a student who doesn't want to feel like, there's a stigma from me going to admit that I need help, that I'm not doing as well as I'd like to do. Next one. Now, what is the SI process? Well, as I mentioned, there are out-of-class review sessions facilitated by the SI leader. The leader will attend all class sessions with the students. That leader takes notes and really acts as a model for the students who are currently going through the course. Now, in order to be an SI leader, students have to be willing to go through training. They have to develop planning sessions, and they have to be available to students before class and after class. And they have to be willing to work with the campus-based SI coordinator, and that's normally a faculty member. Here are some of the benefits of SI to our faculty. First of all, the students are more engaged in their classwork. We've been looking at ways to improve the faculty-student interaction and engagement of our students, and this is certainly an opportunity to do that. The SI leaders will act as liaisons between the faculty and students. Oftentimes a student will talk to another student when they won't talk to a faculty member. It will improve communication. It will help to reinforce the standards, the expectations that faculty have in their classroom. And lastly, it will improve final outcomes in the classroom and impact retention and overall course evaluations for the course. These are some of the benefits to the students who are taking the SI course. Again, those sessions kind of reinforce the learning. You hear it in the classroom, you sit with your group with that SI leader, and again, everything is reinforced there. It provides a very proactive approach to learning that is inclusive and not intimidating. Students make vital connections, and it's an opportunity to elevate their skills for future courses, because the skills that they learn in this course, in one course, they will take with them to the next course as well. Here are some benefits to the students who have the opportunity to serve as SI leaders. These are opportunities for them to gain skills that they might not have otherwise, to really grow as leaders, to hone their critical thinking skills, and to really improve their own performance in academic courses, gaining skills that they can use over their lifetime, and certainly to help them in gaining employability. We've been members of, let me say this, the Community College Survey of Student Engagement is a survey that Tarrant County College has participated in for the last 4 to 5 years. And the survey indicates that it identifies supplemental instruction as one of the high impact practices nationally that has the greatest opportunity to impact the success of students, and to really hit on all of the benchmarks of high impact programs like active and collaborative learning, student effort, academic challenge, student faculty interaction, and support for learners. Supplemental instruction began at, let me say this, before I talk about where supplemental instruction began, let me say that we have been doing, as a college, supplemental instruction on all of our campuses. However, the model is not consistent. We've been kind of doing it in very different ways. But in the summer of 2013, we had a summer project by our faculty, and that was an opportunity for faculty from across the district to come together to really look at creating a consistent model of what SI can look like for Tarrant County College. Following that, Title III provided support to bring the folks down from the University of Missouri, Kansas City to Tarrant County College to provide training for our faculty. We also took the time in the fall semester to begin to identify some of those students who would participate as SI leaders. And we began the pilots of the University of Missouri, Kansas City model of SI with our South Campus and our Northwest Campus. In 2014, we again held another training with the University of Missouri, Kansas City, and the South Campus and the Northwest Campus continued their pilots. But as we began to go on through the spring semester, we began to have data that really pointed to the success of this. And I won't steal Dr. Jordan's thunder. I'm going to let him talk about that. But that presentation was made to Academic Council, and there was overwhelming support by the faculty and administrators in attendance there to bring supplemental instruction forward to the Innovation Forum. We did that this past spring, and that has brought us to this point. Now, the reasons for creating a consistent SI model. We want to increase student retention in those difficult courses. We want to increase the number of students who are graduating and transferring from Tarrant County College. But equally important, we want to increase student engagement and help our students to model successful academic skills. So now Dr. LeBlanc is going to come up and talk about how the Northwest Campus has implemented SI.
Thank you, Dr. Gates-Black. Mrs. Hadley, board members, it's a privilege to be here to represent the other campuses. As Dr. Gates-Black mentioned, all of the campuses have implemented some form of supplemental instruction. However, the Missouri model is the one that the whole district is adopting, which we hope to move forward. I have to say that on every campus, the Vice President for Academic Affairs has provided the leadership in making this happen. And on the Northwest campus, we have Dr. Leanne Ellis and Dr. Janice Smith, who's Dean of Math and Science. Both of those leaders worked with the faculty and ensured that we had the support that they needed for this to be effective. Dr. Gates-Black also mentioned that there was a district committee that was engaged in creating consistency as we implement the Missouri model. And I want to give them credit because they've worked really hard. Christopher Darville, Sophia Garcia, Doris Holland, Susan Patrick, Lance Patterson, Deborah Price, Maggie Rowe, Damika Stewart, and Austin Westfall. They've been working since the beginning. They represent the different campuses. So as we are implementing the Missouri model, we're getting input from individuals on every campus, and I think that's important. The other piece that's important to mention, Dr. Gates-Black said most of the SI goes to the science and math, but we're also using the supplemental instruction in other areas such as English. On Trinity River campus, the nursing program is using it. On Northwest, aviation is using that model. And Southeast has government and math, in addition to the math and science. So you see that there's potential for a lot more, although we've been focusing on the math and science. So even though we just started, and we often talk about building the airplane as it's going down the runway, and this was a similar to that. A lot was done. The cohort that was implementing this increased the SI-supported classes and enlarged the team. They created an organization on My TCC portal for student access. They generated online application and posting on College Career Network, which was important for the students to get registered and to be aware. They also integrated the SI support feature for web advisor registration. They've been marketing the program, and they do this, it takes a team, so they're working with the counselor advisors to inform them about it, and they're also creating brochures and really the traditional way of marketing the program. They've led the 2-day training orientation for both new and returning leaders. The professional development component for the faculty, for the students, is extremely important, and the student professional development has been enhanced. I want to point out that on all of the campuses, the faculty and instructional leaders, the support staff, really go out of their way to send the message to the students that they are important and that they are becoming leaders. And so every opportunity we have to remind them that this is leadership development, we do that. And this is one program of many that we can give examples of how that works. Currently, as stated, all 5 campuses have some form of supplemental instruction, but a dedicated program budget would increase efficiency and effectiveness and would ensure consistency across the campuses. A program coordinator on each campus would also ensure accurate data collection, training evaluations, assessment of the student experience, and we want to be able to track the students, and you'll see the impressive data that Dr. Jordan will share with you. A district director would also ensure that the policies and procedures that are created are consistent from campus to campus, and that their common materials are used. One other piece, they work very hard on creating a toolkit for each job responsibility so that as the students take on those leadership roles, they're very clear about what their responsibilities are and how they can support their colleagues. So next on the presentation is Dr. Jordan. Thank you for this opportunity.
Before you leave the podium, I'm having difficulty connecting developmental education with SI. Is the goal to replace it, or is to in conjunction with? In conjunction with.
Yes, sir.
So.
See, once they get out of developmental education, they still may get stymied in some of the other courses.
Okay.
Thank you, Tim. Once they're out of developmental education, they still may not be able to pass anatomy and physiology, those science courses, the higher level math courses.
This is implementing student success
Absolutely, at a higher level.
At a higher level.
Yeah, as I review the data, if I take math as an example.
The data's what's,
Yeah, well, I'm a data sleuth these days. But if you take math as an example and you look at some of the student success scores in some of the higher level math, you're not happy with it. So there's still a need for us to help those students once they're out of developmental education. We think we have developmental education pretty much now in a good place, and so this is an opportunity to move to a higher level of help for our students.
Okay. Do we get brownie points for at the state level for?
The state gives us brownie points only when we do well.
When we do well. Okay.
The state does not give us brownie points. It does not give us brownie points for effort. None, not a one. It's only the results that we get. It will help the results, absolutely.
I do have a question. I don't know how to turn this on, but maybe you can hear me.
Turn it on, Bill, for her. Little.
Thank you. Can you hear me now?
No. It turns red.
Can you hear me now?
Reginald will get it for you.
Like a commercial. Thank you. I guess my question is, I see all the good that can come out of this type of program. But how does this stand out with other things we have tried in the past? I guess we're going to see the numbers on successes is where we're headed to next.
Yes, if you would hold your question
Okay.
until Dr. Jordan finishes his presentation,
Okay.
I think you'll see a lot of
Right.
what you're looking for.
Because I'm a data person and I want to see data to support what we're doing. So I'll hold
Right.
on.
Thank you.
I want to reaffirm what Dr. Gates Black mentioned. This benefits the students that are in the class in that they get additional reinforcement, if you will, and there is an individual answering their questions. But the student that's also being the mentor or teaching, if you will, is gaining a lot from that. The best way to learn is to teach, and that's a great opportunity for the students. The other piece is that these are students that are staying on campus, the student leaders, and getting paid to do this. The longer we have them on campus, the more likely it is they will be successful, not only at Tarrant County College, but when they move on to the other universities. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. LeBlanc, Dr. Gates Black for the introduction, Chancellor Hadley, President Appleman, members of the board. As you heard over and over before, this is a college-wide effort and project, and so the information, especially the numbers that I will deliver at this point, are specifically South Campus, and so I want to make sure that you know that. And we did that so that we will focus your attention to one of our campuses. So here we go. What I'll talk to you about include national data, how we went about identifying difficult courses on South Campus that we would focus on for delivering supplemental instruction, outcomes for the courses and sections that we worked with, and costs. Again, all of these are specific to South Campus, but there are numbers for each of the campuses as well. Next. So, national data. Next. Let's focus on the second column from the left, two-year public institutions. One of the things that the national data tells us is that the percentage of students who earn D's, F's, and W's decrease when these students are involved with supplemental instruction. So from this you can see that students who were in SI, supplemental instruction, earn D's, F's, and W's at a rate of about 25%, whereas those who were not in supplemental instruction earn D's, F's, and W's at a rate of 42%. This view gives you a sense of the national data and perspective, again, looking at two-year colleges, but for mean grades or grade point averages for students who are in supplemental instruction versus those who are not. So you can see for those students who took advantage of supplemental instruction, they had a grade point average of 2.64 versus a 2.06 for students who did not participate in SI. And those numbers alone really piqued our interest and supported the faculty's recommendation that we move in this direction. Next. Here you heard about some of this before, but this chart shows you where the focus of supplemental instruction tends to be nationally. Almost 75% of the effort is focused on natural sciences, humanities, and mathematics, including developmental math as well. So how did we go about identifying those historically difficult courses? Well, this gives you the list of those courses that were identified on South Campus, and there are 19 of them. We looked at courses over a 3-year period from 2010 to 2013, and we focused on those courses that had the highest number of D's, F's, and W's. So if you look at the second column from the left, you'll see in rank order there from highest to lowest the courses that had the most D's, F's, and W's. Again, let's stay with that for a second. If you look at the bottom line, what we're talking about is a total of 71,993 enrollments, and 37% of them, 37.5% of them, really suffering through those courses. That's better than a third of those students. And that's what supplemental instruction is designed to address, to reduce that number significantly. Next. So these slides show for the year 2012 to 2013 what our experience was in that one particular year before we started to do supplemental instruction at South Campus and across TCC. And what you see here again is a similar number or percentage of D's, F's, and W's at 34.5%. Okay. A lot of students. So for South Campus, we started SI on a limited basis, pilot, in the fall of 2013. And we started with 3 courses and 12 sections. In the spring, we went to 9 courses and 20 sections. And in the summer, we offered 3 SI we offered SI in 3 courses and 5 sections. This fall, we're focused on 8 courses and 14 sections. The number of SI leaders that we have employed to cover these courses over that same period of time would be 12 leaders for the fall 2013, 15 for spring, and 5 for summer, the summer sections that just ended. So let's talk about some of the outcomes that we've experienced, and remember the national data. So in the fall 2013, 77% of those students who participated in supplemental instruction passed their courses with an A, B, or C grade, while only 52% of those who did not participate in SI had a grade of A, B, or C. Okay? You can see the significant difference there. For spring 14, the difference was 81% versus 42%, and over the summer, the difference there was 90% versus 40%. I should say to you that part of what we did in the summer was an experiment. We took one of those sections and decided to experiment with it. We told students in that section that they all had to participate in SI. Okay, so there were 18 students in the section. 3 swiftly transferred to other sections. We were left with 15. But of those 15, the lowest passing grade in that section was a C, and it went to 1 student. So all of the students in that section passed with an A, B, or C. Isn't that tremendous, remarkable? You see a similar kind of trend for mean final grades in courses. For students who participated in SI, there was a solid C grade. For students who did not participate, there was a solid D grade. That was the fall. For the spring 2014, a B average, or 3.1, was the mean grade for SI students. Non-SI students, it was a solid C. For the summer, it was a 3.3, or B, versus a C grade. Costs. So what we spent in the fall of last year was about $55,048 on this program. And as you could see, the bulk of those dollars went towards paying students, paying the supplemental instruction leaders. You'll also note that in this pie chart here on my left, you see the $23,296 was money that went to work-study students. What we did was we found work-study students, students who were receiving federal work-study monies, who were qualified to be supplemental instructional leaders, and we put them through the training, and they helped us support this program. However, what that also meant was that because we didn't get additional college work-study dollars, what that meant is that those students were not employed in other areas, so we were giving up something to have those students work with supplemental instruction. But as I said, the majority of those funds, this is a view of spending for the spring, and you can see, again, we use work-study monies as well as institutional dollars for student pay, but we had less work-study dollars because students typically use up most of their college work-study in the first semester. So we started to subsidize more of those students. But additional costs that we had included printing and resources for those supplemental instructors, and also some funds for marketing, limited marketing, including getting T-shirts for those individuals, but also printing up materials that we use to let students know about supplemental instruction and to recruit SI leaders and so forth. This is the summer view. And that's our presentation. I'm going to invite my colleagues to stand around me and protect me from all your questions. No questions.
I have just an administrative question. Marketing is a part of this. How do you find this? Are the students receiving this a lot? Some? None at all? What I'm saying is, are they trying to get? Is there a rush to get in these kind of classes? How do you encourage them to get in these classes?
Right.
And are they encouraged? Are they getting in the classes?
Right. Well, it's really a tremendous effort, and it requires that the coordinator works closely with faculty, because faculty are the individuals who students rely on quite a bit for the best information and advice. And so once we get faculty buy-in, students come along as well.
Let me say something as well. When the faculty came to the academic council to present on the success that they've had with supplemental instruction, one of the things one of the faculty members mentioned was their SI leader scheduled sessions before class at 7 a.m. in the morning. And they were just not sure that students were going to show up at 7 a.m. And 25 students were there because they knew the benefit of SI. So they were willing to come in at 7 a.m. in the morning in order to get help that was going to help them move through that course.
In addition, as students talk to each other and we share information about student success, more and more students are getting engaged with SI.
Assuming that we have, other colleges have adopted this program, is there any data to show that how long it takes for there to be a critical mass for the program to be deemed successful or not? Do you follow me? It seems to me that we would have to, if we spend a lot of money on this, we need to get a lot of students in there. Is there any data to show that how long it takes for is there a critical mass? What are we looking for in terms of goals of how many students to be in this thing?
Well, from my perspective, I would like to see every student who is enrolled in those 19 sections take advantage of it. But from the data that I presented, it was almost 400 students that we touched. And when you see those outcomes, I mean, 400 students or 4,000 students, I think we're making quite an impact, given the fact that we're helping students change a full grade point, increase their outcomes and performance by a full grade point. And when you look at the rate of success, I mean, 20 points, I mean, that's tremendous. And this is only, again, the beginning, as I said.
I should also mention as well as when students go through SI and they are successful, how much it does for them emotionally and helps them to mature academically. But also it means that these students are not in that repetitive, repeating that course again. And so it allows our students to move much more quickly through their college education and creates room for those students coming in the door. So often schools have looked at SI as a means of helping to fund students moving through the institution without additional funds, using this to help students stay on track, move through the college in a timely fashion so that there is room for other students coming in the door.
Okay.
In addition to that, it's less expensive to retain the students than to lose them and have to recruit new students. And that's in addition to the fact that the legislators would really like for us to ensure their success.
Well, as we said before, we're identifying courses. We're not necessarily targeting students because we don't know who is going to need us in that particular classroom. So we are focusing on those classes that have high rates of D's, F's, and W's. Okay, and we're looking at 25% D's, F's, and W's, 30%. But we are also looking at high enrollment courses, and we're starting with high enrollment courses. So it's that combination of criteria that we're using.
If you recall, supplemental instruction focuses on the course, not on the student. So as we identify the courses, what we will do is then begin to identify students to support those courses.
Is there any thought about making this mandatory for, like you did that one time, for all students taking those courses?
Well, one of the things we have learned is that students don't do optional, and we learned it from this experience. We'll have some students, like the three I mentioned, who will bail and go to another section where they're not required to show up for these sections. But I think it's worth pursuing that, definitely.
And why are maybe I shouldn't ask this, but why are the SI instructors successful at doing that versus the faculty that are teaching the courses in the beginning? How do they add to that?
Well, it's peer learning. If you look at the literature on peer learning, students often learn from their peers as well as they do in the classroom. This is not to take the place of what happens in the classroom, but it's continued repetition and review and collaboration outside.
Yeah. And that's right, because the more support they have when they're doing their homework, when they're reviewing what took place in the classroom, the more likely it is they will be successful. And people respond differently to different strategies. Faculty often use podcasting, for example, where they will record their lecture and the students can watch it on the internet at any time after they've been in class. And that's very effective for the students that respond well to that. But some really like to have the actual individual there reviewing with them. And so it's just additional, not to suggest that what happens in the classroom is not good.
It's really about time on task, and this really helps students to, forces students to take the time because they may not be doing it on their own or at home, and this provides a structured way for students to get more time in as well. Yep.
You know, I couldn't let them get up here by themselves without me, so I appreciate that. One of the important things to remember about supplemental instructors that's different than tutoring is that these students sit in the class the entire year. When the students are selected, we don't roll them, but they sit in that class, take the same notes the students are taking, hearing the same lectures that the students are hearing. So then, just like, students would rather learn from each other. That supplemental instructor then, or that leader who already took that class once, now is sitting through it again with the same instructor to students, takes the same notes, and interprets that then back to the students. And it's kind of like a translator almost, as well as a tutor. And then that person, you'd be surprised how well that class becomes popular really fast, because word gets around among the students, and then that leader becomes a hero on campus.
Other questions?
Yes, thank you. I can see, and certainly you've demonstrated the effectiveness. In peer learning, there's nothing better. I'm looking at the courses covered at the South Campus, and I'm just curious because I can't get my head around it in terms of what dictates the differences in, say, fall of 2013 and fall of 2014. Math 13-14 is the only one that you repeated. So going forward, do you do the same courses, add selection or sections? Do you see where I'm going? I don't know really what I'm asking other than there are different classes between both falls.
Right. And part of that has to do with the performance of students the semester before, but also there may be another course that has higher. There could be another course that had higher enrollment, a higher course enrollment that we wanted to make sure we covered because we could get a greater impact in a higher enrollment course rather than working with 6 students, maybe working with 60 students. Does that?
Yeah, that answers that question.
Yeah, and we were piloting. Part of this
Right,
was
I
about
knew that from the first fall,
Yes,
yeah.
was about experimenting with the different courses as well.
So, how much we paying these students?
Yeah, that's my next.
We're paying students $10 to $12 an hour. We started students in the fall with $10 an hour. By spring and summer, those students were who stayed with us.
She's looking at the improvement in performance, and I'm guessing that some of these people who are being your peer instructors are doing it again.
Mhm.
So they're getting better at it,
Right.
really, is what's
Right.
happening.
And we're paying them.
Then you lose them. But by then,
Right.
yeah.
Not necessarily, Mr. Carter, not necessarily. I have worked with SI at several different institutions, and I have actually seen students from our institution go through the course, serve as supplemental instruction leaders, transfer to the university, and still provide supplemental instruction. So the SI coordinator on the campus would schedule those folks. We pay them well because they're doing a whole lot more than tutoring. It requires a whole different skill set. So yes, we want to hold on to them, even though, and it's a good job for them. And as I said, it helps them to grow.
Yes, absolutely.
Do you have a question? Tell me again the difference between student pay and work study.
So work study is federal financial
It's a
aid.
different source of
Yes,
funds.
right.
And you mentioned coordinators and a district director, so I assume you've had a coordinator on each campus that's.
No.
Has a faculty member assumed those responsibilities in addition to what they?
Right. On South Campus, we have someone has added that to
their load.
To their load, yes.
So where we're headed is a more formalized, structured, staffed program is what
Yes.
we're getting ready to hear about.
That's what we're proposing.
And I want to know what happened to the 3 students who bailed. Did they do well in the other
We
course?
didn't track them, unfortunately.
It'd be interesting
Yes.
to see how they did
Yes,
and if perhaps they would sign up for an SI course.
yes.
Other questions? I'm sorry. Right. Other questions from the board? Turn yours off and let's see if that makes a difference. Are there other, no. Are there other questions?
Thank you.
Thanks for your attention. Yes.
Well, thank you, team.
Madam Chancellor, I'd like to ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
When you go to your
Wait just a minute. Yes, for the audience, in case you didn't hear his question, the question is, when I go to my Texas Association of Community Colleges meetings, do I hear about supplemental instruction from other colleges and what they think about it? I do hear about it, not just in Texas, but all over the country. And you hear nothing but good things about it. You may ask the question, why is it taking us so long to get to where we are today? The first part of that is it hasn't taken us that long. You heard the Gates, Dr. Gates Black and the president say, we've been doing this in some form or fashion for a long time, but on a piecemeal basis. And so if your question is, why did it take you so long to get here, it's because so many times, we've done so many different things and so many new things, and we put so much of our emphasis on getting developmental education right. And so we put a lot of our efforts, a lot of our money, and we are getting around to it. I say all the time, we are in a revolution, not an evolution, but a revolution here at Tarrant County College District, and it takes so many different things. While I'd like to do everything at the same time, we can't do that. So we're at a point now where we feel like we are ready to move to the next level, as I said sooner. So it's very popular, Mr. Greenhill. Thank you. I was about to call you Mr. Carter. I'm looking at Mr. Carter and looking at you. It's very popular, Mr. Greenhill, all over the country. And as you can see from the results that Dr. Jordan gave you, it is really quite worth the effort. Other questions on supplemental instruction? You're scared what's coming next.
We're scared to turn on our microphones, but they seem to be working better now.
Okay. Sounds like you got us straightened out. Okay, the next slide that I want to talk, the next set of slides I want to talk with you about tonight is a preliminary budget. You saw this last week, and it is pretty much the same as what you saw last week. We have the state appropriation, as you know, is the same. We get funded on a 2-year basis. And so the same thing we got last year is what we'll get this year. Some difference in the maintenance and operation tax, about $11 million increase there. We're looking at tuition as being flat, pretty flat. It may be a little bit more than that, maybe a little bit less, but probably be pretty flat. At this point now, we are a little over 40,000 students who have registered for the fall semester. Earlier on a slide, you saw a number that said 60,000, and when we saw that in the Higher Education Coordinating Board Almanac, we all said, well, they got 60,000. Well, they're counting everything. When we go to the 12th class day, very often we don't have as all of our students registered for the second 8 weeks in either one of those terms. And then we have some students who travel a lot from campus to campus, so there might be a little bit of duplication in there. But as far as coordinating board is concerned, we're serving these people. And so that's what, and they count that for everybody the same way. So we are looking at apples and apples. So on that slide, there's nothing very different. We're not expecting very much of an increase in much of that. So go to the next slide, and you will see the proposed expenditures of the monies that we have. I'm looking at a 3% salary increase that will cost us $6.18 million. 5 new faculty members, 1 per campus, 3 of them in speech, 1 of them in sign language, and the final one is in automotive technology on the South Campus. So sign language for Trinity, automotive for South, and speech for the other 3, Northeast, Northwest, and Southeast. Also, we have a need for a police supervisor at the Center for Excellence, the Northwest Campus Center for Excellence in Transportation, Aviation. I almost got it all, Elva, but I missed it. But you may recall that we have, if you go down to almost to the bottom of the page, you'll see security services at $450,000. That's an outsourced service that we're going to bring in, but we have one of our own police officers out there as well. And we are asking to increase the on-call staff in a number of areas. That would be an additional $184,000. So the total new personnel cost would be $469,589. I'm also proposing to increase the per contact hour rate for adjunct faculty for $1 per contact hour. That $1 per contact hour would also accrue to full-time faculty who teach on an overload basis and during the summer. We have money in there for promotion and rank for our faculty. And I'm also proposing to increase the minimum salary hourly rate at Tarrant County College to $12 per hour. We have not a lot of employees who are making below that, but we have a number, and we think we've had a lot of discussion about that around the CELT table, and we think that would be a really good thing for us to do, to raise the minimum to $12 per hour. Fringe benefits will cost us $1.2 million. Utilities and trash collection would increase by $471,000. We're asking to increase our advertising and promotion campaign by $250,000. The early college high school operating expenses are in there for $160,000. That's $50,000 for 4 campuses and $10,000 for the South Campus, because the full early college high school will not open until next year, but Dr. Jordan does have an in-school early college high school with Everman ISD. And we're also asking for $307,000 for Innovation Forum, project software and emergency management. So all of that is, Innovation Forum and emergency management, both are getting some new software. So the total request for new funding comes to $10,630,278, and the income we have is exactly that amount, $10,630,278. This next slide, I just wanted to let you take a little stroll back in time to look at the ad valorem tax rates for Tarrant County College, and you see for 2014-15 we're at 14,899 for a rollback tax rate of 0.15869, and you can go all the way back to 2002 when we were at 0.10938, with our total tax rate of being 0.13938. So we haven't increased very much over the last 12 years in our tax rate. Next slide. The average residence homestead at the appraised value that we have now is at $150,891, is $226 per year, with our tax rate of 0.14950. For this year coming up, 2014-15, the appraised value has gone to $158,149, and with that same tax rate, the taxpayer will be paying $236 for 14-15. If you were to look at the effective tax rate for 2014, which would be $244 for the effective tax rate, $233 for the regular tax rate. So if you went to the effective tax rate, the taxpayer would be paying $8 per year more than this year, $8 more. Did I get that right, Nancy? Okay. The next slide shows you what the maintenance and operation tax for 2013, 2014, and what the effective tax rate would be for 2014-15. So if you stay with the regular maintenance and operation tax at well, you couldn't stay exactly the same because the debt service rate goes down. And so if you keep it even, the debt service will go from 0.00709 to 0.00559, and then the maintenance operation tax would increase slightly from 14241 to 14391, and the rate would be the same as it is this year, 0.14950. And of course, that brings us $11.7 million in new tax revenue from the increase in the valuation of the property in Tarrant County. If you choose to go to the effective tax rate, it would bring in an additional $7.04 million, and our rate to the taxpayer would be 0.15458. So we would go from 0.14950 to 0.15458, or an increase of $8 per year for the taxpayer with an average home of $158,000. If you choose to go to the effective tax rate, we propose to use the money to purchase a district warehouse. I've discussed this with you several times. We are taking away space from our district warehouse for the early college high school on our Northeast campus. Purchasing a district warehouse would give us the opportunity to buy a facility that would really meet our needs. You may recall that we have lease space for much of our needs at the warehouse. We have a facility over on the Martin Luther King Freeway, 287 South, that we're paying for. And we have some other space that we're leasing. And we also have the Northeast campus space. It's necessary for us to move not only some of the warehouse, all of the warehouse out of there. We also have a paint shop in there that we're going to need to move because it isn't healthy for the children to be in that building with the exhaust system as it is. So it would serve a lot of purposes. We're also looking for a space where we could house other employees. We moved the IT group to the Center of Excellence in Aviation, Transportation, and Logistics. We moved all of Tim Marshall's group up there, and we also moved Tim's other group, the Institutional Research, IT, Video Services, are on the third floor of that facility. And as you may recall, as we've talked before, we had no intentions of using the third floor for this. We fully intend to turn that into a Northwest Campus center for not just logistics, transportation, and aviation, but also general purpose classrooms and some other uses that we have. And so it'll be a matter of time before we move those people out. We hope we don't have to have them there any longer than a year, and that we can put them in another space. Any money that we would have left over out of that $7 million when we buy a warehouse, if any, because from what we are wanting to buy and the space that we need and the parking that we need, it may take most of that money, but probably not. But anything that's left over would go to additional money for mechanical, electrical, and plumbing projects. Now, you don't see anything about supplemental instruction up there. And what I said last week, if you asked me what would I do with the money, and I said the first thing on my list would be supplemental instruction. But I changed my mind over the week. I had a week to think about it. And so I'm going to ask you to allow us to take that $1.4 million from sticky space again so that we can help students stick to the campus in a really big way. Not just stick and study, but to really stick and be more successful. We have, we're getting about $4.3 million a year from the sticky space money, and we have over $6 million of that in the budget now. We'll add another $4 million to that, 4.3 this year, 14, 15. And we've discussed it again as a CELT, and we think using $1.4 million of that sticky space money will be put to very good use for our students. Next one, please. You have a 3-year plan for tuition, and therefore there is no change recommended in any of the 3 categories. They will stay the same. $55 for in-district, $86 for out-of-district, $205 for non-residents. And non-residents mean out of state or out of country. So for your consideration, I offer a 3% salary and benefits increase for all employees. That would include all full-time, all part-time, all on-call. $1 per contact hour for faculty adjunct rate increase as well as full-time faculty. Raise the minimum salary hourly rate to $12 per hour. On the tax rate, I give you an option A, stay as we are, with the rate being 0.14950. Go to the effective rate, it would be 0.15458. All of this in the name of success. We want to make it in reach for more students than we ever have before. Questions, comments, discussions?
Complacency. Any questions, board, or comments? Mr. Carter?
Once again, I really, after the 3 years are up for the tuition, I really have no objection to us doing anything with the tuition we want. I said sticky spaces, that was the deal. I didn't want to change it last year. I don't want to do it last year. The effective tax rate is that 50 cents? 50.8, not quite 51 cents. Ends up being another $1 million every 7 or 8 cents. I don't really have any appetite for increasing our overall tax rate. Sorry, I don't. I have some questions about the $12 minimum. I don't know what the minimum is right now, but it sounds a little excessive, actually.
The minimum now is, I think probably the lowest is $10 and a few cents per hour. Dr. Cardinal, do you have that salary schedule with you? It's somewhere around $10, Ms. Carter. 10, it varies depending upon the classification code of the employees. Some of them are $11 and some cents.
Sorry, seems excessive as well.
In regards to the sticky spaces, I personally don't have a problem redirecting those funds, and the reason is, first and foremost, I think the supplemental instruction is more effective or just as effective. But there was no way to know 2 years ago I guess the scope and breadth of those sticky spaces based on our income. And if the presidents, I feel strongly, if the presidents feel that, we've done our job there, or perhaps can wait for other sticky spaces if needed, that I'm comfortable redirecting it.
Well, Mrs. Vandegrift and board members, if you would allow us to use 1.4 million from sticky spaces, the construction of sticky spaces still moves on. So it's not like we're taking all of the money
Right.
away at all. They've done a lot of work this year. They have a lot of work coming up in this year coming, and they also have some ideas for really big sticky space renovations, if you will, that I think you'll really like. We'll bring them to you a little bit later, but we're not abandoning sticky spaces at all.
So last year, didn't we decide to take compensation for like 30 extra, basically tutors out of that as well?
They weren't tutors. They were success coaches. We
Yeah, I
hired
think
10.
they're tutors.
We
Maybe
hired
they-
15 success coaches. Yes, sir.
15, then it was not 30.
15.
What's happened with the success coaches this year if we take the 1.4 and put it into supplemental?
They still stay. The success coaches will still be here.
You're still paying for it.
But we took 1.4 million out of sticky spaces last year to pay for them, so it would continue this year, wouldn't it? The same amount of money?
Yes, the $3, it was $3, sorry. $3 an hour tuition increase. I don't know how much that but by the way, I think that we did have kind of a budget for sticky spaces, and they did know basically what and at the time, the $3 wasn't going to be enough to do it in 3 years. So then we hired, 15 coaches, and now we want to do supplemental instruction, which is, it may be a great idea. It just wasn't what we told people we would do.
Well, my take on that is that it's still student-focused spending and that it's enhanced sticky spaces. Well, perhaps nothing is ever the same from one year to the next, even if it has the same name. But I support the thought and the idea of using that money for enhanced student enhancement. And I think that from what we've seen, obviously, it would be. And I'm also excited about the powered up sticky spaces that we're going to have coming forward.
I think you'll be pleased when you hear about them.
Okay.
The facilities team's been working really hard on these wonderful ideas.
Let me ask this again. Last year, we took 1.4 million out for the success coaches.
I don't recall how much it was. How much was it?
500,000. So we're still going to pay that out of the money, the extra tuition, correct?
No, we put it. It's in this regular budget now. It's not coming out of sticky spaces.
Okay. All right. Okay. So we have what you're proposing is 1.4 million out of this for supplemental. Yeah. But if Dr. Jordan said that his cost for supplemental instruction was $59,000? No, $59,000? Okay. 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 How do you go from that to the 1.4 million?
Taking it to scale.
Okay, and
taking
that
it to
would be
scale.
for all the campuses?
Yeah, we'd be looking at all 5 campuses, and I think it's 18
regular supplemental instruction leaders and 2 super SI leaders, which are those students who had 30 hours or more, maybe at the university or still at our institution, but at a higher level.
So that'd be 20 per campus.
Okay. and that produces those kind of results that we saw, I'm for it.
I have another question, and I don't mean to get into the minutia, but I know we coined the term sticky spaces, but I thought the intent of sticky spaces was to do that peer-to-peer study group work. And so my next question is, what is the true acronym for that type of learning? I've heard it before, but I can't remember what it is. It's like learning
Experiential
space.
learning, you mean?
Well,
Collaborative?
there's a formal terminology for it, and I can't remember it. Maybe, probably. I guess my point in saying that, if we'd used that terminology, then what we're discussing here in terms of the supplemental would fit into that. And so that's where I'm coming from. I do think it's very similar, except enhanced.
Yeah, but we also said, Mr. Carter, not really, not that space, because what we said before was these spaces were to be designed for collaborative learning. We did say that, so that students would have more spaces to hang out together. They could be available to meet with faculty and other students. We always said that from the very beginning of that.
And you recall we said in the presentation that the SI leaders meet outside of class with these students. So they're going to be meeting in these kinds of environments to do their study sessions.
Any other questions or comments? Chancellor?
I was looking for Mr. Carter to report to him the employees who make less than $12 per hour. As I said earlier, we really don't have a lot of them. We have one group of support staff whose starting salary is $10.82. We have in another schedule we have $10.81, $11.74, and I believe that's it for three categories of employees, or three class codes, I should say, that earn less than.
It's a very generous minimum wage.
Other questions? Well, if you have no other questions, I have one for you, and that is, will you give me your guidance? Because next week when we come, I will have a proposed budget for you, and I would like for the proposed budget to be adopted on the 18th, which means that we have a lot of work to do between now and then, depending upon what your pleasure is with the presentation that I've made tonight.
So you're asking for a straw vote, if you will, on tax rate, the salary increases? What else?
Yes,
Those two
yes,
items.
to both. And yes, the tax rate, the salary increases, and that's it. Is that it? Supplemental instruction. Thank you, it's three. Supplemental instruction, which the money for which would come out of the sticky space budget. So
All right,
it's really three things.
Let's start with the supplemental instruction and the transfer, if you will, of funds from sticky spaces to that program. And this is a straw vote. Those in favor? Mr. Carter, you're opposed.
Yes.
I've gotten to know you well. The next issue would be the tax rate, going from the current tax rate of .14950 to .15458. Am I saying the right numbers?
They're up on the screen now, Ms. Appleman.
Which would raise the amount of taxes on the average homestead to $8 total or per 100,000?
Per average household.
$8, a total of $8 more. Okay. How many of you would like to stay as we are? And who would be in favor of going to the $8 increase?
Well, I'm in favor of going to the effective tax rate. I mentioned, I understand that, Mr. Carter. I mentioned that last week, and I am interested in us doing that, and I would like for my other board members to take another look at it between now and then.
I have a question regarding the effective tax rate in terms of voting next Monday. I recall when we did either the rollback, we had to have a public presentation of something. Do we have to do that with the effective tax rate?
No, we do not.
Just by the way, you don't have to go to the effective tax rate. You can also bite off something in between. Roughly every 7 point something cents is worth $1 million.
Right.
I believe.
Mr. McClendon, you're shaking your head yes?
No, that's right.
Okay.
You don't have to go to the full effective tax rate. You can go to, that is the ceiling. You can go
Right.
anywhere from where you are today to that ceiling. Trustee Carter.
Mr. Greenhill, were you changing your mind about the effective tax rate? Or you were okay. So we have,
I'm being courteous. I'm going to consider
You're
it.
going to
I'm going to think about it.
well, I
it's
think
very,
that the
very
chancellor and her staff, her executive team need a better indication.
Well, actually, Mrs. Appleman, the board can wait if it would like to make that decision next week. What we're proposing, if you go to the effective tax rate, would be outside of our regular budget that we're going to present to you. It would be completely a separate deal. So if you decide that you want to do it next week, that's fine. And you decide you don't want to do it, then we just don't move forward with those plans. But they are not a part of our
The
regular
budget.
board budget
Right.
presentation. So you could
All
wait
right.
if you want.
Then the third issue is the transfer of funds from sticky spaces to,
I think we just did that.
I'm sorry.
We did that first.
We did that first. It's supplemental instruction, thank you. For
Pay increases.
the pay increases.
I think all of them, really. I mean, I
Three-
don't really have a problem, for example, with the 3%. It seems reasonable to me. The dollar increase for adjunct seems reasonable to me. The jumping to a 12 seems to be a bit much. I'd rather stage it, go 11 this year, 11 and a half next, 12 the next, those kind of things. But it's not a big number in terms of the total budget.
Well, it's about 40 people, Nancy. How many is it?
Less than 50 people is when you want $12.
Come to the microphone, please.
It's about less than 50 full-time people make less than $12 an hour, and that including the on-call people. We raise the on-call people as CE people. No, it's a little over, let's close to $300,000.
Go up or down on the 12. That's all you got to do, Madam President.
What is the pleasure of the other board
I'm
members?
in favor of it.
All
Are we
three,
going to vote, or?
all three levels, the 3%, the $1 per contact hour, and the minimum salary rate to 12.
I like that.
You like all three?
I like all three.
Dr. Morrison?
I do.
All three. Ms. Winnett, all, I think.
Okay.
Okay, you're good on that. The only thing kind of left hanging is the tax rate.
Yes.
You've got a
I want
split,
to hear from my constituents.
you've got a split board on the tax rate of choice.
Very well. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you so much for your questions. And thank you so much for your guidance. We are very appreciative of all the wonderful things you do for us at Tarrant County College. I was just thinking yesterday about this board, and I was talking to myself out loud, Mr. Greenhill. And I said to myself, the Tarrant County College District Board of Trustees today is by far the most engaged board ever in the history of this college. And I mean that. And that is not to lessen the work, the outstanding work that's been done by all the boards previous, but this is a new day. And the new day calls for your for you to be much more involved, and you have to know so much more about what's going on. In past years of this college, trustees didn't have to worry about things like student success and data points and all those kinds of things, and having facilities all over to accommodate the needs and the growth of the people of Tarrant County. And you didn't have to worry about supplemental instruction, because so many students who are with us today, in those days, 40 years ago, almost 50 years ago, they would never have dreamed about going to college. And today they're on our campuses. It takes a lot more money to run an institution today than it's ever taken before. And we keep coming to you asking for things that we think are necessary to help our students be successful. And it takes so many different things and so many different forms to make sure that that happens. You're in the seat to make the policy. You tell us what you think we should do, what you think we should not do, and we will live accordingly. On the other hand, it is our responsibility to tell you what we think we need. And so you are very supportive of what we offer to you, and we appreciate that. We go away tonight being very grateful for being in this place at this time at Tarrant County College District. I continue to say there is no better place to be than right here. So thank you so very much for all that you do for the people of Tarrant County.
Well, and we thank all of you, because we know it took a lot of hours to get us here to this place tonight. I know you'll be sorry to hear that it has been determined that we do not need a closed session, except for two of you who have not turned in your self-appraisals, your self-evaluations. If you will do that, Ms. Robinson will release you from bondage, and we are adjourned, and we will see you Monday night at 6.